Welcome to The Subject is Moot, where everything we discuss is debatable. I am Dom, and across from me is
Mike.
And a special thanks to Vinny and Quiz, the producers of the podcast. We want to hear from you, so write in your opinion, comments, or topics you want us to talk about to thesubjectismoot@yahoo.com, and we'll bring them up during future shows. You could also follow us on Twitter at TSIM_podcast, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. In the search bar, just type in The Subject is Moot or Dom Mike, and you'll find us. All right, we're back behind the mics for episode 19.
Wow.
This one's pretty much dedicated to a lot of questions that we were filtering this past couple of weeks from our listeners.
Thanks, folks.
But before we get started, this episode is brought to you by Sweetwater. Sweetwater has been providing music instruments and pro audio since 1979. They have excellent products, pricing, and customer service. Sweetwater also offers interest-free financing, free shipping to the lower 48 states, and exclusive free 2-year warranty, which comes with nearly every product they offer. They are located in the United States in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Call 800-222-4700 for sales assistance, technical questions, or advice. You could also check out their website at sweetwater.com.
Sweet.
All right, Mike, the first question that we have here is from Dan from New York. Pick a band that you could never hear again, and it would not matter to you. But there are rules. It must be a popular band. Must be one that is heard pretty much every day on the radio stations. A band that would most likely make people's top 10 list.
It's a good question.
It is a good question. Because there's always that one song that you like that you can't hear again. Just the one that you may like by that artist that you can't hear again.
A song or a band?
No, it's a band, but you can't hear any songs by this band.
Oh, right. I know what you're saying.
So,
well, there's one band that I could easily pick that I don't care if I ever heard a song ever again. Any song ever.
Kiss?
Nope. Well, obviously, but besides them.
Okay, so.
Green Day.
Really?
Not a big fan. Never was, never will be. Tried them. Just can't do it. Doesn't do anything for me.
You and I always talk about Green Day as far as being like the last greatest band, but no, I can't do without Green Day. I don't listen to them all day long and every day. They're not my top favorite bands, but they definitely are catchy enough to say, yeah, I would definitely look forward to more music that they put out.
Oh, they write great songs. There's no doubt about it. But
for me, I'm saying I can't give them up.
Them and probably Aerosmith. There's a biggie right there for everyone.
I know Sweet Emotion has been overplayed, but that's just a staple in rock music.
Well, I do enjoy, believe it or not, Dream On as much as it's been played. And I kind of like the Love in an Elevator too, but
do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh man, that's so horrible.
But overall, it wouldn't bother me one bit if I never heard them again.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. I can't pick them.
They were part of one of my very favorite SNL skits of all time, but which makes them super cool that they didn't take themselves so seriously they could do a great skit on the Wayne's World, but with Tom Hanks on top of it.
I picked Foo Fighters. And I guess I feel the same way about that you feel like with Green Day. I feel about that with Foo Fighters. They're great. They have their place in music history. But if I never hear another song by them again, I wouldn't be disappointed. And I don't mean any disrespect to the band because they really are good. But I just don't. I never gelled with them. I have an album of theirs, but I don't look forward to listening to their songs. And if it comes on the radio, I'm going to change it. So
right.
But that's a great question.
That's a great question. Appreciate it.
Dan picked AC/DC, but he does love Thunderstruck, and that's the song. It's a great song, but that's the song that keeps him from picking that band.
Right.
Well, Dan, thanks for your question. That was actually a very good question. All right, Joe from Florida writes in, who is tougher to replace in a band? Lead singer, lead guitarist, bassist, drummer?
Ooh.
And why?
That's a good question.
That's a good question, but...
What about the triangle list or the flautist?
Well,
yeah.
If you only have one, you're not going to... And you find a good one, you can't replace it.
True.
Or even the cowbellist. More cowbell.
Yep.
If you find that guy who can give you more cowbell, or girl.
True.
You don't get rid of them.
No. That doesn't happen too often.
So, Mike, what do you think? Lead singer, lead guitarist, bassist, or drummer? I guess
As a guitarist, you would think I would say that, but that's a toughie because in any answer you pick, someone could always dispute the answer.
Well, what
It's moot.
Right. It's definitely a moot question. But I think this is, in my opinion, and I'm trumping right over you because you just, you didn't give me the answer.
Singer.
It's got to be the singer.
Yeah.
They're the front man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like changing your wall colors from pink to blue. I think if you're listening to an album, you're not going to, if you can find Arnold Pineda, right? But what I'm saying is, if you could find another guitar player that can sound like the previous guitar player, you really, don't get me wrong. If it's an Eddie Van Halen,
Angus Young,
stature, that's a different story,
right?
But definitely a great question. I would have to say lead singer only because they're the front man. They will change everything. You can't hide that from the crowd. Not saying that you could hide who the lead guitarist is, but the lead singer is pretty much the front guy, and that's the hardest to change.
It's a great question, and it's a tough answer, but I think that in percentages, I think the majority of people would agree that it's got to be the singer.
I would say it's singer, guitarist, drummer, bassist.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sorry, bass players.
And I'm not
unless you're Les Claypool or Geddy Lee.
Different story.
Yeah.
Different story. But for the most part, though, in a band.
Yeah.
Dan from New York wrote in again. Would you say that November Rain is our generation's Stairway to Heaven?
Well, it's another quality question right there. Put on the thinking caps for that one, too.
First, it's hard to believe that song is that old, Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
When you do the math and you say to yourself, oh, that was just a hit. And then you say, wow, that came out, the early 90s, 91, 92.
Yeah, I tried to put the time frame to when I probably started overhearing Stairway to Heaven, like on WNEW or Q1043 over and over again, which is probably the 90s, and thought to myself, okay, that was 20 years after its original release. And then I thought about November Rain. I'm like, November Rain's too new. But then I'm like, wait a second, you mentioned that too, and I'm like, wow, our stuff that we grew up is classic rock now.
Yes,
it hurts.
It is. Yeah, it does hurt. It hurts because you hear Bon Jovi and John Cougar Mellencamp on 104.3.
What about Culture Club?
They're not on 104.3.
Damn it.
You were a big Culture Club guy.
Damn.
We are deflecting away from this question.
Sure. No, I know, because it's a tough question. I don't know if this song will have as much impact as Stairway to Heaven has had in music because...
Well, take a step back.
Yeah, I guess so. It's hard. It's a
Take
hard
a step
question.
back. Look, as far as comparing the two songs, you can't compare the two songs as far as songs.
Well, they're both very lengthy. They're epic songs.
Right.
Great solos.
They're progressive, right?
It's easy with the progressive.
I'm not talking about Dream Theater progressive, but I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, he's not really asking, which one do we like better.
No, I know.
But
I love them both. I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I've...
Think about how November Rain touched the hearts of the people who, in the 90s. That was... I don't know if that song ever, in my opinion, was overplayed, only because I turned it off after a certain point, but I never really got bored of that song because of its impact.
When I saw GNR a few months ago and they went into November Rain, the garden went berserk.
Of course.
And, I held Appetite very, very close to the heart because it was really the first hard rock album that I got into, and it was really all I owned, so it's all I listened to for quite a while. So when Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, for me as a kid, loving Appetite so much, they were a little underwhelming. And I still think today, if you put the best songs from each, you could make one outstanding record. But November Rain, even then, stood out heavily. So I think, I think you can say it. And there's nothing really to dispute because, as far as our age group and the time frame, it is a classic song.
Well, it's definitely a classic song. It's a song that made the impact, and like you said, when they started playing that song in the Garden, the place just lit up.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Was it your favorite song on those two albums?
You know what? So those two albums could have been one.
I know.
I liked Civil War.
That's my favorite.
Strange.
Civil War was one of my favorite Guns N' Roses songs ever.
I like Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Yep.
I like
Strange is good.
Estranged, and I like You Could Be Mine. That was in the Terminator sound.
There's a whole bunch of great songs from those two records.
But that's take out 6 songs, and you don't take out 6 songs. Take the 6 songs that I like or whatever it is. Keep everything else. To me, they really didn't have to be a double album. Was that they were all pretty much, they all had a special place in my heart, and November Rain was right there on top. So everything about November Rain. I don't know if I can look. Let's just look at the question bare bones. Strip it down. Don't read into it. Don't read into it any more than what he's asking.
Then yes.
Would you say November Rain is our generation's Stairway to Heaven?
It should be.
Yes, I would say yes.
Yeah.
It took me a little while. When I saw the question right away, I was like, well, no, wait, it's Stairway to Heaven. You can't compare the two. And you know what? You can't compare the two. I still think, but he's not asking which one do we like better.
No, yeah, no, I'm not going. I'm just trying to think about, to view it as like how the masses would feel, and there's really no reason that it shouldn't be. What else is out there that has that epic feel to it, that has a similar length? Because you realize Stairway to Heaven's a long song, just like November Rain is.
Yeah.
So, it has the build up.
Mm-hmm.
They both could be somewhat ballads at one point, and then they get like heavier, and they both have epic solos. So yeah, yes, I feel that the answer is yes.
I almost wish November Rain was longer. I almost wish it didn't end the way it did. I wish it ended. I wish it kept going a little bit more. Kind of ended a little too quick for a long song. It kind of ended a little too quick for me at the end. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'd have to point it out to you while we're listening to it.
Right.
But that's a great question. I really do. I appreciate that question. The more I read it, I was a little, I'm not going to say offended, but to put November Rain and Stairway to Heaven in the same sentence, I don't think you can. But that's comparing the two. He's not comparing the two.
Right. No.
So
for the question, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like, and November Rain is one of my favorite songs of all time. All right, so let's segue into this, Mike, since we touched on it with classic rock and how music we grew up listening to is now considered classic rock. You have, Bon Jovi, you have John Cougar Mellencamp, and a lot of other artists now that, as far as were on the classic rock, they were never on the classic rock. It was always like, Yes and Led Zeppelin and The Who, Rolling Stones, things like that. Now you have Bon Jovi there. And that's a little tough, I guess, because it just means one thing. We're getting older.
Yep. Definitely.
So,
and Guns N' Roses.
Right. And where does it stop? Where do you think it stops?
I think it's already stopped. I don't see a classic rock station in 2030 playing classics from this era. They'll still be playing probably the Bon Jovis and the Led Zeppelins and the Guns N' Roses stuff. I don't see, unless they're going to play Foo Fighters and Green Day over and over again.
Well, there's a chance that in 2030 they're not going to have any radio stations. It'll probably just be satellite with categories.
Right.
70s, 80s, 60s,
right.
All that stuff. 50s, big band, jazz.
And that'll bail them out. That's going to bail. It'll be a bailout for music because, when you think about it, in the long run, what now? What 10 years ago, what 5 years from now is going to be classic besides the Foo Fighters, and even them, they're great for what they do, but who's really giving them a run for their money? There's a lot of great bands out there, don't get me wrong. I love a lot, but that's just me personally. What's touching the masses? But the thing is, people listen to music differently now. Everything's very disposable, so you can get into a band or an artist, and then you're like, next. That's how young people are, and not that we're old. We're not old at all, but that's how people listen to music. Even people our age and a little bit older, I think, are have gotten into that too. Just okay, next. What's next?
Maybe because the bands today don't hold water. And it's not true.
We're not giving them a chance. That's the thing. No one's giving any band a chance because...
Well, I think at this particular point, we're already molded. Ourselves. I think ourselves, our generation, and maybe the generation right before us, maybe not, maybe just us. We were already molded. We're not really... We'll listen to new music, although, you know how I feel about Alter Bridge, obviously Dream Theater, but they're an older band. There's very few artists out there that I will still buy, or I will buy all of their albums, and Alter Bridge is one of them. They've captured my heart enough to want to support them completely, and they've put out every album. And I'm also now spinning off into Miles Kennedy's solo album, you know, and supporting him. And
well, you know how I feel about that whole subject. I'm sure that'll be for another time, but they definitely should. Both the band, and both artists, Tremonti and Miles Kennedy, should be bigger than because they're solid.
Mm-hmm. So we're already molded. These kids today, it's almost like...
It started with us, though, the MTV generation. Because think about it. You sat there for 5 hours and watched MTV. You did one different artist after another, one different type of music after another. Even if you watched the Headbangers Ball, the MTV Raps, or 120 Minutes, and had just one style of music, the bottom line is you still had different artists. So it started with us. I think it started with our generation, the MTV generation, where it was just like, okay, next, what's next. And it started slowly with us, but just snowballed after that.
I don't have a frame of reference. It started with us because that's the age we were at.
I mean,
I don't know what happened before that. You know,
well, before that, you had like our parents' age buying singles. You know, record
and 8-tracks.
Right. Well, 8-tracks were a full album. I don't think they made 8-track singles. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't.
They made. I think they made. I forgot what they were called, but they were called. I don't know whether there were only two.
One tracks.
No. I think they had 2 tracks. They had 2 tracks, then 4 tracks, and I think they went to 8 tracks.
Well,
you could have bought. I think you could have purchased an 8-track with 2 songs on it.
Think about it, though. What MTV did was they took what the radio was doing by playing different songs every few minutes and just doing it with a video. It was genius. It revolutionized the music industry. But at the same time, during those days and beforehand and a little bit after, you had promotion. And promoting bands and promoting songs and shoving them down your throat and in your eyes visually, it got into your head. Those days are over. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, all of that's left to the listener now. It's up to you to go out and find new artists on iTunes Radio, Amazon Radio, you know, Spotify. They're there. Trust me. I'm looking every day for new bands, and I find new artists and new bands every single day that I like to my ear, but I also feel a little bit different than most people. I feel if you put the time and effort into sitting down and putting your blood, sweat and tears into an album, especially an album, not just a song, and its quality, you already have me.
Well, I think that's where music is going. Obviously, satellite radio, and it's going to just be genre, and you can just pick whatever you want. And what you're going to do is just like Pandora and everything else. You know, if you want to listen to Frank Sinatra, they're going to give you 5 songs by him, and then they're going to throw in an artist that's similar to him, jazz, big band, whatever, and you know they'll mix other people in. But it is. I would say, it's actually it's sad to say that the music we grew up now is being played on the same stations as still like Led Zeppelin and The Who and bands like that. All right, let's address this question that was posted on Facebook by Bert Buchanan out of Sayers, Texas. Bert writes, just asking a simple question and not trying to start a fire. You know where that's going.
I like the sound of this.
Tribute bands. Would you still play shows if you didn't get paid? I understand the whole want to pay respect to your favorite band, but would you still do it if you didn't get paid? Or if you had to forfeit your pay to the band you were paying tribute to? Be honest.
Nope. No way I would not play. Personally, I feel being in a tribute band, I would, since they're asking us, my answer is this. No, because the only way I would be in a tribute band is to make money that you get from being in a tribute band, especially if you're a good tribute band, to be able to put into making my own music, writing my own originals. Other than that, if I wasn't getting paid to be in a tribute band, I wouldn't do it because I would feel like it's a bit stifling as an artist. If I didn't consider myself an artist, which I obviously don't now because I'm not writing music, but if I was in that situation and I considered myself somewhat of an artist or musician, I couldn't do it.
But you were in a cover band with me.
But I wasn't. We
didn't even get paid.
I know, but we also weren't writing on the side either. We were just doing it for fun.
So what if somebody wants to just do it for fun
and not get paid?
What's the difference?
Yeah, but when you're in a tribute band, you're in a tribute band to make money. Think about a lot of these tribute bands that go out there and they're fantastic at what they do, and they make money and they're known. They're well known.
That's fine. No, and I agree with that.
And I think that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about just being in some random 10 person club. He's talking about being in a bigger club where you could bring in a good amount of people who want to come there and hear, Black Sabbath songs.
Listen, there's a local Pink Floyd band, okay, and I have no problem with them being tribute bands if they want to be in a tribute band.
Oh, me neither.
And if they want to get paid, so what?
That's what I'm saying though. You should get. That's why I said I would not do it for free.
And if they don't want to get paid, I don't see it being a big deal. I think when you become that big, yeah, sure, you want to get paid, but are they doing it for the money?
Yes.
What if I don't know. I don't know if they are, because what if you're at the point, let's just say right now, I had the opportunity or I had the job where it was flexible enough that allowed me to play out like one night during the week or maybe once or twice on the weekends. If I had that job, and paid or not paid, it doesn't matter. If I had that job to play out at that level, if I knew that I couldn't be creative, at this point, obviously, I know I'm not going anywhere musically.
Right.
Okay, so what is the?
But a lot of these, but if he's talking about, this is a two-part. It's almost like an A and B type question, because if he's talking about the real established tribute bands, which I think that's what he's talking about, yes. If I'm in a tribute band where I'm just doing it once a week, of course I don't care if I get paid or not. If it's just a recreational thing, but if you're in a tribute band to make money, and next thing you know, they pull the carpet underneath and say, well, we're not going to pay you anymore because, somebody wants money, or we just don't feel like paying you anymore because we don't want to pay tribute bands anymore, then I would say no. Because if I'm in a tribute band, yeah, I love the music from the band I'm playing, but I'm also out there, especially if you're playing all weekends. Like say you're that good and you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sundays, you want to get paid. You're going to want to get paid. If you're just doing it recreationally with a bunch of friends or whatever, and you're playing, random songs or even just the same band songs once in a blue moon, of course you don't care if you get paid.
Well, he's basically just saying, would you do it if you didn't get paid?
Right.
Would you still be doing it? Well, no. Do I want to be playing?
It depends, really.
Do I want to be playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? No, I don't.
Right.
I would pick a Friday or a Saturday and do it really just for the love of getting out there and playing music.
Right. If it's recreational, I don't care if I get paid. If it's a real gig where you're doing it and people want to see you,
different story.
Right.
Different story. I think it's almost like being a DJ. If you're going to go out there and play music for people to dance, you better get paid.
Right.
But still, at the same time, though, it really depends on, I guess, the size, how big the tribute band is.
I think it also depends on how serious you take yourself as an artist too, because a lot of these bands, the musicianship is really good. These guys are really good.
Yeah.
So
that's a good question. There's a lot of comments actually. As of, I don't even know when I wrote this down here. It was about 30 comments, and good or bad, it was a good question. I'm saying good or bad comments. That was a very good question, Bert Buchanan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, and I don't know. I think it's a tough one, but you know what? Look, I look at all the gigs we played and all the times we played. We didn't get paid. Obviously, we were not of the talent as these tribute bands were, but still, we got paid one night, 2 nights.
2 nights, yeah,
twice. And I think it didn't even equate to more than $25, and we gave it to Stan.
Yeah, I think we got like $10 or $15 each or something like that to swing between the four of us, and we gave it to him.
We gave it to him because we recorded it. We rehearsed in his house.
Yep.
And he's generous enough to let us jam in his house. Anyway, good question. Good questions by all. Thank you very much for writing in. Time to wrap this up. We want to hear from you, so write in your opinion, comments, or topics you want us to talk about too. The subject is moot@yahoo.com, and we will bring them up during future shows. You could also follow us on Twitter at TSIM_podcast. as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. In the search bar, just type in The Subject Is Moot or Dom Mike, and you'll find us. For now, I am Dom, and across from me is
Mike, and we are out.